So as people are looking at the idea of teaching this to their faculty, the whole concept is grounded in applied behavior analytics, that you're defining what you want in terms of student behavior and teacher behavior. You're defining it, you're giving people opportunity to practice and to receive reinforcement from it. And everybody has some type of a ticket system, and they call them different things: bucks, dollars, tickets, whatever. But the whole idea is that when those are given contingently. So if somebody is meeting an expectation, I give this to you and I say, Chris, I appreciate you doing whatever. And that whatever is going to be an expectation matrix. So it might be meeting an academic expectation, a social expectation, showing up on time, being respectful or responsible, showing best effort, whatever your school-wide expectations are. And some of the common themes that you've heard are that it's not just about shaping kids' behavior. Everybody needs to buy in. And if we're going to change teacher behavior, they have to have opportunities to practice and receive reinforcement for it as well. So once this whole plan is in place and behavior is being reinforced contingently, and when we talk about behavior, again, it's not just narrowly defined, it's meeting academic, social, and behavior expectations, then the next thing we have to talk about is how do we reinforce it? Like when we were all in school, what was considered to be very cool is not necessarily what's very cool today. So part of what Chris talked about was figuring out what is motivating to people. And people generally want to either get something or they want to avoid something. And so in setting up these reinforcement systems, there are some kids that are extremely attention motivated, and those videos have been a great thing. And at Fairview Middle School, they've shown those at the beginning of every school day. And in the first 2 years, tardiness to school dropped out dramatically because people were very curious as to who's in it, am I in it, that type of thing. So for the attention motivated child, participation in those videos is excellent. But for some people, they'd rather die 1,000 deaths than have to be videotaped, which is why Wendy is not sitting up here right now. Right, Wendy? So as you're listening to them kind of talk a little bit about how they've set up reinforcement systems, listen to how they've come up with ideas for escape-motivated kids, like front of the lunch line passes to get out of waiting in line, an opportunity to skip out of certain things like a homework pass or that type of thing. And also listen to how they made money in order to make this work in their building. So listen for the sources of reinforcement, how they funded it, and then how they kept variety, because it's important to shift the novelty in your reinforcement system.
Well, I think, and Chris can talk about this more, but one thing is we're constantly getting feedback from our students about what prizes it is that they want. And in a middle school, we found out that there's a big difference in what a sixth grader wants and what an eighth grader wants. So we constantly have to make sure that our assemblies and things, pretty much eighth graders, every time we survey them, they want time to hang out with their friends and they want to get out of stuff. Sixth graders are a little bit easier. Sixth graders will be very motivated. Again, we have that thing where there's a chance of something, so we'll do something like a pie in the face raffle. So we'll have, I think this year we had 10 or 12 teachers that volunteered, and kids would, for $1, they put their name on it and put it in, and then at a pep rally we drew out, and they got to put a pie in the face. They got to pick which teacher or principal that they wanted to do that for. So our big thing is we have assemblies. We've changed how we do those. Right now we have, halfway through the 9 weeks, we have a 1-hour PBS assembly. All the kids get to go to the gym. They get to do fun things that they like. We might have karaoke. We might have video games. We'll have basketball going on. Sometimes we'll have a theme. This year we did sort of a carnival where there's little carnival games that they play. But we have a 1-hour assembly in the middle of 9 weeks and then a 2-hour assembly at the end of the 9 weeks. We brought in a magician. We brought in bands. We brought in different kinds of shows. We've had teachers that sing, have performed at those. But really the big thing the kids want to do is just get together and hang out, and then we provide some fun things for them to do. And then we also, this year, the time element is always a hard thing. Just there's so many things to do, and there's so many more expectations on teachers now. So this year we're going to have our drawings in the cafeteria. We just decided that's one time every day that each grade level is totally together so everybody can see it, and we're always going to have an administrator and somebody else in there to do those drawings. So we're going to have random drawings in the cafeteria also.
I'll remind you that we're also a middle school implementation, and I would agree that the sixth graders are motivated differently than the eighth graders. we have several levels of purchases that they can make with their Mustang Bucks. In the classroom, there are school supplies, and for a lot of the kids in our school, to be able to purchase their own pencil or highlighter or have paper when they need it is a big deal. We are over 60% free and reduced lunch. And our kids don't have the discretionary money that many young people do today. For them to purchase a backpack from the school store or a school t-shirt, or to be able to come in and buy a Coke or a candy bar or even a gift to take to a birthday party has been a very big deal and a really wonderful motivator to put them in control of earning and purchasing things that are important in their lives. Our school cafeteria has agreed to serve students a fruit slushie at lunch for our Mustang Bucks, and we reimburse the cafeteria for the cost of the product. We have a librarian who allows students to pay their library fines with the Mustang Bucks and to come in and have a library luncheon with a group of friends for $4 a piece. The economy is supported by the fact that we are a title school, and I do have some money that I can make decisions about how it is spent, and so our school store is generously stocked. And initially, the concerns that teachers had about a student buying a soda at the end of the day, we've been able to put in perspective because these are kids who might never have one at home, and this might be the only Coke they have all week long, or the fact that they are able to use this money to purchase a gift for someone, to get into a school dance, to do things that they've just not been able to participate in the past has been very powerful for us. We do have a reward each 9 weeks. Students who have received no administrative discipline referrals are invited to a different type of party, and it does occur during their related arts time so that they don't lose instructional time. But we might show a movie and serve them popcorn. We may have an outdoor play date where we have cold drinks for them, and we have just a bunch of games from the PE department set up outside. But in each case, the students who were not able to attend felt like it wasn't something they wanted to miss in the future. And it's been tremendously successful at our school, and I feel like a part of it is that we've provided an economy for something these kids would not have had otherwise.
We are in the same vein as New Providence Middle School in that we decided that if one of our school rules was that when they come to school prepared, then we needed to make available materials that they would need to be prepared. So we completely got rid of our monetary bookstore where kids could come in and get supplies, and we have stocked that now with the use of our Hawk dollars. So if a kid comes in and they don't have a pencil, but they were at school on time, a pencil is a Hawk dollar. A teacher can give those out freely as they wish, and so we want to make sure that all kids have that. Our school is very much, when you talk about building relationships with teachers, that communication is so important. We've done a lot of things in our building that is very haphazard, I guess, that has turned out to be really successful just by listening. One of the things that we did recently was we have a writers club through our group, and the writers club kids are mostly kids who are economically disadvantaged students. And they really weren't a part of, our teacher has kind of mother ducked them, and so they really aren't a part of any other group or club, and they're sort of standalone kids. She wanted to get all of the Writers Club kids a t-shirt, but the kids who are in that particular club may not have the funds to do that. So school-wide said, okay, well, we can supply those t-shirts, but the kids are going to have to come up with 15 Hawk dollars. So it was a way of us using our monies to make sure that we fit the needs of kids, certain kids, all kids, different kids in our building. The way that we usually do, funding is a big issue at our school because we don't feel like we need to keep going to the community. We have a very large community, but a lot of schools and a lot of things. And with the economy, businesses are sort of in tight supply too. So we wanted to make sure that we do our work up front and we can say that to the community. Here, this is what we've done to raise our money. This is what we believe, so we're not constantly asking for something. that approach has given us a lot of good things from the community of saying, okay, we're going to help you guys out because we see what you're doing. But one of the biggest things that we do when we raise most of our money is we have a fall festival every year. And so what happens is we connect that with a dance. So kids buy dance tickets, which helps monetary with money. They buy dance tickets, which helps the grade level. And then at the dance, they buy tickets, not hawk dollars, but tickets, and they go through and they play a variety of games. We've hooked up with one of the party supply stores, event centers, things in Clarksville, who has given us really good deals on helping out. And so we set up games, and the kids spend the money. We have a costume contest. It's about October-ish, so it's kind of a fall festival, and we do all kinds of different things. We are only allowed to have about 400 tickets sold. And we're trying to up that amount, but we raise about $2,500 at that, and through that, and through some help with our parent group, we have offered a variety of things throughout the school year. A lot of things that you have to realize is what everybody's talking about is some of this is free. It's just creative scheduling, figuring out your times, how can we make this work. When do the kids get antsy? When are they tired? When are teachers tired? When does everybody need a break? And if you do that constructively and creatively, it doesn't really cost you that much money. And we've been able to supply what we have in our buildings between 11 and 1,200 kids through that one fall festival for an entire year. We have drawings. We've given away Wii's. Kids are wanting gaming systems. We give away iTunes cards, all kinds of things that we do. We sell movie tickets. Some of the places in another way that we do buy-in is some of our clubs don't really have any way of making money, so we let the kids come in and watch a movie for hawk dollars, and we have a huge screen, and it's just almost a theater-like quality, so they do that. Then they buy concessions, and then the concession monies that they have will help other areas in the school. Last year we had a student in our community, actually a teacher in our building, who has a child who has leukemia, and so all the concession profits from that went to that family for a Christmas present. So that was a way of really making the kids aware of kind of what was going on. And we try to do that all the time, that we're a community and we are helping each other all day long, every day. And that seems to be what works best for us is the kids buy-in and how we get them to behave the way they want to and for a greater good.
I'm going to approach this from two different levels. The middle school level, I felt very successful in the fact that we found numerous ways to raise money. And we are from I don't want to say poor, but a low economic area. And the way we raised money was doing several different things. We did school dances. We've done lock-ins. I've done talent shows. I have done... We had a Mother's Day out we did one night. We had a basketball play day where kids could stay after school. I mean, we came up with so many different ideas. Our lock-in, we charged $20 a kid from 6 to midnight, and we probably had over 200 kids. So we raised $4,000, and that alone paid for things. The prizes we were able to give at Fairview, I believe, really propelled our program to another level, because when you can give away a 10-speed bike every 9 weeks and an Xbox to every grade level, you're going to have people saving their tickets. I think it's important those students know why they're getting the tickets and what they can use them for. So they need to know the prize this 9 weeks is an iPad. We gave an iPad away at high school at the end of school year, and for the first time all year, there was a huge buzz of everybody wanting their tickets, when all year long we didn't have a structured prize to build up to that. And then we went from no interest to so much interest we didn't have any tickets left. So I think that they need to see that reward at the end, and the ways you can raise money. Food is a big motivator for all of us, and in middle and high school students especially. You can use it so many ways. The cafeteria tie-in is huge. Sonic and other of your local restaurants will donate meals and things like that. And I've put a list together for us of rewards that cost and rewards that do not. Things that you can do for students that don't cost anything is, we even did a pass that was change classes. Like if you had art and you wanted to go to music today, you could do that with that pass. We came up with so many things that you could use, homework passes, get out of lunch detention pass. I mean, there were so many things that we used that didn't cost us anything, and then there were other things. We spent thousands of dollars with Oriental Trading and Rhode Island Novelty, and it's amazing. We probably give away over 2,000 bouncy balls in the last 7 years. And then they would throw them in class, get them taken up, and we'd sell them again the next week. So we replenish our store. But we have a prize store and a concession that can only use those tickets for. And I think at the PTO, involving your PTO is huge, because if they get to make the plan, they get to have the idea, they get to run the concessions, it takes a lot off of us and it's important to have some parents on that PBS team to get that input, and we've even had students on our PBS team. So I think those are some ways. I think creativity is number one. If you just are creative on how to raise money, what works at your school, what do people like to do, charge them for it and tell them it's all going back to the students. They're all getting this back because it's going into your program. So I think the fundraising part and figuring out what rewards fit your students that's very important, and you have to have someone that can lead that, whether it be a parent or a teacher.
Again, at the high school level, we worked to try and figure out ways that the PBS team wasn't responsible for everything as well, and want to kind of go into the student interest piece. For the last 2 years, we had our statistics classes do some analysis of student interest, and so that was a huge piece that was helpful, that we could just say, hey, this is what you guys wanted. And for us, food was definitely a piece. Big packages we found was an exciting thing, like a football season package, or a pep package where they got different things, that were school related, school spirit wear. Prom was a huge piece, but things that we could kind of put together and take the thought out for them, we found was a very big deal. And then we did varying levels of the prom package, but the largest one, and this is now kind of an expectation. Kids at the beginning of the year will say, "Are we doing that prom thing again?" And they'll save, they call it hoarding, their tickets, which is pretty exciting because that means they're in. And they'll show us the clumps of the tickets. But the prom package, the biggest one, is like a limo, flowers, a tux, and these are things that we just get donated because the local businesses want the publicity of saying they did it. And then dinner somewhere, and then it kind of drops from there, like a dinner card or just flowers or a tux rental. And those varying pieces kind of meet the interest level that was spoken of earlier, that a lot of our kids want to have that high school experience, but it's an impossibility to do it at that grand level that many people in our school community can. So it allows some of that. Another thing that we did that I'm really proud of, and this was a kind of a teacher-driven thing that addressed the teachers who felt like the kids who are always doing what they're supposed to be doing aren't getting reinforced. And some of that was, the reply was really easy. Well, reinforce it then. Just give them tickets for that. But we didn't address growth, and we didn't feel like we were always addressing academics as much as we wanted to as a school. Another piece of that helped us was that the kids, kind of our AP level students or our high-flying kids, felt like all of a sudden this was a program that they could pay attention to. So instead of saying, I don't need those tickets, or I think this is ridiculous, it became oh, wait a second, I can get an iPad too. Well, you need an iPad just as much for school as the lower level kid. And it just created kind of a universal piece that, again, was just a secondary product of what we thought was a good idea for one thing, and trickled down, or I guess in that case trickled up, to a whole another unique group of kids. Another piece that we found was beneficial was really addressing the teacher piece and saying out loud, you guys need PBS too, and finding ways that we don't have a lot of money. Money is definitely our largest struggle. Our PTSO gives us grants every year. I've written a couple grants and gotten funding from community organizations, but funding is our biggest challenge. So we, especially with the teachers, had to find ways to give them what we felt like they needed. And the number one thing that we do for teachers is time. We were able to give away a couple paid days off last year, and prep periods where year, as a PBS team, we said we're committed to, at very specific times of the year, giving teachers PBS time off. And so one of us would go in and run their class for that period so they could have an extra prep period. And that was phenomenal. And the way that we did that was based on the teachers who gave the kids tickets. So it was a win-win for everybody. And that was a huge reinforcer, not only for the program, but for the teachers, and especially the teachers who felt like, well, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't get rewarded, or the kids shouldn't get rewarded for what they should be doing anyway. Well, all of a sudden the teachers were getting rewarded for what they should be doing anyway, and we found stellar benefits there.
So in looking at the notion of reinforcement, you can see that they've come up with very creative ways to generate income, to come up with what motivate kids and teachers in terms of accessing or avoiding either experiences or tangible items or different, experiences, sensory, like with music and things like that. In looking at this notion of reinforcement, again, we want to really emphasize that it has to be contingent, and that's so important, that the kids are only accessing that reinforcer contingent upon meeting an expectation. And the same is true for teaching. And also, you've heard about the importance of the parent component. Many teams have involved parents in actually building the plan. Almost everybody involves their parents in implementing, because they often have the time. And even if you're in a situation where the majority of your parents are in the workforce outside of the home, there's still opportunities to involve parents in that. They could be preparing tickets, coming up with different methods of soliciting reinforcers from the community. One school took a bus down to a mall. They had pre-printed different certificates, and they hit every single store during the end of the year inventory. And they walked out with roller bag luggage that couldn't be resold, or certificates or discount coupons. So the key is to be creative and think about how you can make this work for your school.